Hi everybody, Richard Kask here from Nucleus and welcome to Insight. This is our inaugural episode and today we're going to be talking about something that has been at the forefront of our thoughts for a long time, but more and more we're seeing questions surrounding security asked to us directly from clients, prospective clients, and realistically within the industry it seems like security is becoming even more and more important than it was historically. Security surrounding specifically phishing, spear phishing, social engineering, and realistically, what are those things? What are we doing as a leading MSP to combat those things? And then also we're going to have a guest today on our inaugural episode, and that's Karl. Karl Fulljames, our COO and our Chief Security Expert here as well at Nucleus. So let's kick it off to talk about phishing. Now, I'm not talking about sitting on a boat, casting on a line. Phishing is something that's a technique that's used to specifically obtain private and confidential information. So perfect example from that from an email perspective is you're getting an email from Scotiabank wanting you to click on a link just because your password is going to expire. You've had somebody try to hack into your account. The only thing is you're not with Scotiabank. So that should be one of the red flags right off the bat, and that's a perfect example of phishing. Phishing tends to look to try and get passwords, usernames, credit card information, basically any private and confidential information, especially financial information that may be yours. That's a perfect example of phishing. Spear phishing is the next one. So spear phishing is a version of phishing, but if you think at it that phishing, you're kind of casting a wider net. Spear phishing is you have a harpoon and you're looking specifically at a company or at an individual. It focuses on specific key individuals within the business, and it uses things like social media accounts, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn to basically customize specific information and compile those information in an email and forward it to a specific person within the company. So basically a good example of that is that you're getting an email from your CFO or your CEO asking, hey, you know what, I need you to deposit $30,000 into this account or send me this money right now as a wire transfer, but I'm on a plane, I have really bad Wi-Fi or no Wi-Fi at all, just go ahead and do it. Obviously, that's something that probably isn't going to happen. If that does happen to you, you want to make sure that you go through the proper steps to make sure that that's actually legitimate. But from spear phishing, that's a perfect example of what that looks like. And unfortunately, we have seen cases in the industry that things like that have actually gone through. So make sure you're doing your diligence. And us as an MSP, if you're a client of ours or a prospective client, if you get any of that kind of stuff, feel free to reach out because we have some great things that we can do to help combat them. Next on our list here from a security perspective, social engineering. This is where things get a little bit scary. Perfect example of social engineering is phishing. Phishing is basically a virtual, like it's a phone aspect or a voice aspect of phishing. So if you receive a phone call, phishing would be somebody that's looking to psychologically manipulate you in order to get information. So it can be somebody with a fake phone number saying, again, let's use a bank as an example. Calling from your bank, they've been able to go ahead and set it specifically that their outbound number looks like it's your bank, but it's actually not. So if you're getting any of those kind of phone calls, social engineering looks to basically make sure that you're divulging your confidential information by using psychological techniques to try and get that information out of you. From a managed security perspective, on our side, we don't just use one tool. We don't use one piece of software. So there is no magic bullet that will protect everything. If somebody says they have the magic bullet, they don't. What we do on our side is we make sure that we go through and we have a variety of different software solutions at different levels throughout your infrastructure, workstation, network, and server that we deploy to be able to make sure that you're protected from different avenues. Another thing that we do is something that we have called security awareness training. So this is actually a formal training session that we provide at no cost, at no fee to our clients. We will actually come on site and we go through examples of exactly what I'm talking about right now. What is spear phishing, what's phishing, what's social engineering. There's also some videos and some collateral attached to it of actual phishing attempts done live with somebody sitting right there in front of them on their own phone. So that's where it gets a little bit scary just because there are specific entities out there that's all they're doing. They're trying to go and they're trying to hit as many companies as they can or as many targets as they can specifically to get that information. So the security awareness training really is an example for us to be able to provide users with the information in terms of what we're seeing, providing examples of this to basically give them more knowledge about things like this being out there, because from a security perspective, you can take all of the security and everything that you have basically that you could throw at it, but the users are always the first line of defense. So we're trying to take it on as an IT partner and as an industry leader to make sure that we're not only providing the right security software solutions, but that we're also providing training to all of our supported users to make sure that they're set up for success with security as well. So next thing, we're going to introduce Karl, our COO, and we're going to get into a few examples. Who's Karl following? What podcasts does he listen to? And really just getting some insight in terms of what he sees right now with regards to security. Hey everybody, here we are with a quick venue change. We're here with Karl, our COO. Karl, thanks very much for joining us.
Of course.
Inaugural episode here of Insight, just jumping back into it. So we wanted to just chat with you, Karl, just to get a little bit of information from you in terms of what you're doing to stay at the forefront of security and just get a bit more info in terms of why we're different in that regard as well.
Yeah, I guess my interest started about 11 years ago when I had my identity stolen, which I'm sure we'll talk about in a different episode, and what I did to catch them, which we actually managed to do. And from there, I mean, everything is security related these days. So trying to keep up on the forefront of it is pretty much an impossible task, but doing the best we can. I listen to a lot of podcasts, read a lot of books, and converse with a lot of people in the industry. I met Kevin Mitnick, has a pretty crazy little lockpick business card a couple times. He won't remember me. But I've seen him speak a couple times at some events. I listen to a lot of podcasts. A couple really good beginner ones. There's Hackable by McAfee. That one's great to start with. Perfect Scam is actually co-hosted by Frank Abagnale, which Leonardo DiCaprio played in Catch Me If You Can. And Breach, it's another one. They're covering the Equifax hack on the current season. If you want to get a little more detail, there's Cyber by Motherboard. That one's really deep into the weeds. Great journalism. There's Darknet Diaries, hosted by Jack Resider. That one's fantastic. I think my favorite episode is talking about a guy that accidentally robbed the wrong bank in the Middle East, which is not a place you want to rob the wrong bank. And Malicious Life is another great one as well. They really get into some serious detail on how these hacks are accomplished.
Nice. So I guess from like a more Nucleus specific thing, I know that you're also involved in terms of kind of being our security guru, also within the industry as well. Can you speak about that a bit?
Yeah, so we're the ones that suffer with our clients if there's a security breach. A lot of it starts with that book that is kind of cliche at this point, but the art of war actually does matter when it comes to fighting. And it is a battle these days, trying to make sure our clients are secure and that we're secure as well. Right. You can't defend the entire wall. You need to make sure that you take the important data and keep it in your keep and protect your keep and expect that your wall will get breached.
Right.
Those types of concepts are from this book, but they actually do matter when it comes to these sorts of things. Also, keeping in touch with other people in the industry and going to a lot of trade shows, seeing what the vendors are offering and why they're offering it is critical. There might be some offerings that don't really have a purpose, and some new ones that come out that are taking advantage of AI, are taking advantage of big machine learning. Some of our solutions, we work with Cisco, and we're on the advisory board with them regarding some of the security products as well. So getting to understand how they operate is, selfishly, it's really cool.
Right, yeah, for sure.
But it's fantastic for making sure that we are on the leading edge to protect our clients.
Awesome, that's great. Well, I'd love to bring you in again. We can chat a bit more about your experience of having your identity stolen and what that looked like. But thanks for taking the time. That was awesome.
You know where to find me.
Yeah. Okay, thanks everybody. Stay tuned for our episode next week. Thanks for joining us.